You know, Brian, one of the fun things about doing lots of different things on our farm is, well, one of them has to be the exact right thing for the year. And this year, strip till was awesome in the drought. There's no question versus conventional till. Strip till offered some huge advantages when it's dry.
So one of the most commonly asked questions we get is, well, what do you guys do on your farm for tillage? And I just tell people everything. Okay, we do some conventional till, we do some strip till. We've done a lot of no-tilling in the past. We like strip till for certain reasons. It's got certain advantages. Now, I'm not going to say it's the best system of anything out there, but I'm just going to tell you, here are the advantages, here are the things we don't like. Probably the number one thing that I don't like about it is it takes time. It's going to take more time in the fall. Well, like this fall, we've got ample time.
It takes time in the fall. That's really the downside, that you say, well, I've got all these acres to harvest and I've got some fertility I'd like to get, all these things. Well, you know what? Strip till, it's going to take you a little bit of time because you're building your seed bed for next year, you're doing your fertility for next year, you're doing all of that in one pass. So it's a really important job.
Here's what we do. We'll plant our corn rows right here this year, and then we're going to move over 15 inches and plant our soybean rows. The next year we're going back and we might plant corn, or it might be continuous corn, whatever. The point is we split the rows all the time. So where we're planting this year in 2012 will be the same place we're going to plant in 2014. So 2011 and 2013 are set. So once you get into this system for a couple years, you've got your A-B lines all set, and all the guy has to do is hit the button in the tractor, and that tractor just follows along. So if you have RTK guidance, it's not that tough, but you got to get that first year, get past that first couple of years so you get all those things set.
One of the questions we get a lot with strip till is, well, where are you putting your fertilizer at exactly, and what fertilizer are you putting on?
You've got to know your soils. I love putting nitrogen out in the fall. You just have to do it in moderation. You can't overload the soil. So we'll put some nitrogen on, but we're probably, well, actually in no field are we going to put it all on. We want to do some split applying.
That's fine. Nitrogen's one thing because nitrogen can leach away. P and K are going to stay where you put them, and this is one of the things that I think is a huge advantage of strip till. If we're putting our P and K down 8 to 10 inches deep in the soil, rather than broadcasting them over the top and then trying to till them in, well, how deep are you really tilling them in? Maybe you get them down 3 or 4 inches, you know, oh, okay, that's one thing. I'm going to put mine down 8 or 10 inches deep. And when you think about P and K, they're going to move in the soil, but it's very, very small amounts. Maybe they're going to move 1/8 of an inch a year, 1/4 of an inch a year. Well, if I'm dropping down 8 to 10 inches deep, I'm just speeding this whole process up by about 40 years on my farm. I'm getting that fertility zone deeper in the soil. And on a year like this where it's dry, my roots are going down deep early in the year. They're getting all the fertility they want. And then when the top few inches of my soil start drying out, I'm still pulling in more fertility out of those roots that are down deeper where there's still some moisture in the soil.
You're going to be in great shape with all this stuff. So we really like strip till for all those reasons, and especially this year when we had drought, we didn't have to till all the ground. We just made one strip and we made it in the fall. So we had all spring to get some moisture into that strip. We like strip till also because at least in that strip, our ground is going to be pretty warm. Now, it's not going to be quite as warm as conventional till, but it's going to be pretty warm, way warmer than no-till. We used to do a lot of no-tilling, and we switched that to a lot of strip tilling, and this is the #1 reason why, because now with that ground warmer in that strip, we get faster emergence, we get better emergence and better stands early in the year.
One other thing with that is the residue management. And when you think about managing residue, there are a couple different trains of thought here. One is, well, let's leave corn stalks tall so they're out of our way, and then we'll try and strip in between. We've tried that, and frankly, it really hasn't worked. Because, you know, there's going to be a few stalks that lay over, and all of a sudden you got this 4-foot or 6-foot chunk of residue that we just can't deal with. So we're using chopping corn heads now to chop that residue up as we're going through the field and size it. And we end up with 5 or 6 inch chunks out there that we can move around pretty easy in the field.
A lot smaller than that. I mean, inch chunks to 2-inch chunks. And that's what I didn't like, was the 5 or 6 inch chunks that we'd end up with the standard corn head cutting that stuff up, or standard chopper, I should say, behind the combine. We just really like the chopping corn head, and we've had better success with our strip till, and even when we've tried some no-till. Anyway, with the strip till, the other big thing that we like here is just the fact that it's done in the fall. Okay, we don't like doing strip till in the spring. The ground is going to be at 8 or 10 inches deep. It's going to be too wet by the time you want to start planting. And so you have to get this done in the fall, at least in our operation with our soils. We do like shank machines better than the machines with just coulters. You can strip till with coulters, but you don't get your fertilizers deep. We want our fertilizer deeper. That's the reason why we like the shanks. Well, once again, we do think strip till is a good practice. It's not necessarily the best, might not fit in your situation as well as it does for many others, but it's something that's certainly growing around the country. The only real big drawback we see is it takes more time to get your fertilizer on, but it's just got so many benefits that we think that outweighs it. And on our own farm, I will tell you that we dedicate somebody for 2 to 3 weeks in the fall to do strip tilling, and we're usually starting that as harvest is finishing up.
Well, anytime you change your tillage program, it's going to change your weed control. So we're going to talk about this week's Weed of the Week and the best way to get it under control.